treasure to such weak and flawed people. Verse 7, we're still in verse 7. He says, so that the surpassing greatness of the power will be of God and not of ourselves. So that the power will not be of us, but we know that it's God. Look at here. As we continue on in verse 8, Paul focus turns towards persecution and hardship. He says, we are afflicted in every way. And understand this. Paul says that we're going to go through suffering. He says we're going to go through. See, he was giving us spiritual principles on how to run a successful ministry. And when you're doing the work of Jesus Christ, and when you're doing the thing that you're supposed to be doing, you got to go through the fire. It's like gold. You know, when you take gold in its raw form, it's all dirty. You know, the miners, when they used to go mine the gold, they pull it out, but they have this big lump of gold, but it wasn't in its pure form. So they would have to take these lumps of gold, and they would have to place it in these hot fiery furnaces. And the purpose of the furnace, the fire, was to burn the impurities off of the gold so that the gold came forth pure. And Paul is taking us there. He's saying that we are God's gold, but we not pure. So we have to go through the fiery furnace so that we may come forth pure. That's why he turns his focus towards persecution and hardship. He says there's going to be times in our Christian walk when we have to endure hardship. I mean, we haven't heard that. We heard this before. Matter of fact, as we read in James, we've heard this preached a million times. James tells us to consider it a joy whenever we face trials of many kinds. Because why are we receiving this in joy? Because we know that God is doing his work. He says that the purpose of the trials is to build up our characters. It is for the perfecting of the saint. And that's the idea Paul is getting across here. It's like we all like the smell of expensive perfume, right? But others cannot experience the fragrance until the seal of that perfume is broken and that perfume is poured out. Likewise, others cannot experience the fragrance present of Jesus Christ inside our hearts until it's poured out. And God pours out that fragrance of Jesus Christ that's in our hearts by breaking the container that holds it. So yes, there are going to be some hard-fought battles in our lives. There's going to be trouble that's coming from every direction. Trouble on the job, trouble at home, trouble with your kids, trouble with your spouse, trouble with your best friends, trouble with your mom, trouble with your dad, trouble at church. But Paul says that yes, we will be pressed on every side. Trouble's going to surround us. We're going to go forward. It's going to be there. We're going to try to turn left. It's there. We turn right. It's there. We try to go back. It's there. It's pressing us down. The weight of the world is on your shoulders. We are afflicted in every way. But Paul says we're not crushed. We're not crushed. He says that we're perplexed. I like that word. Like that word because he's giving the implications that, you know, all these troubles that's coming in your life, you're going to get, people are going to be giving you advice, people are going to be praying for you, people are going to be laying hands on you and putting oil on you, they're going to be doing all kinds of things for you. But you, in your mind, going to be like, how am I going to get out of this? You're not going to have a clue. You're not going to have a clue as how you're going to come out of this situation. You didn't try everything. You tried everything in your own power to get out of this perplexing situation in your life with the weights of the world weighing down on you but not crushing you. But Paul says, despite us being in this situation, we will not be in despair. See, despair means loss of hope. So God's still preserving your mind because you still have hope in Jesus. He says that we would be persecuted. That's right, we will be attacked unfairly. People will be attacking you for no reason of anything that you have done. Matter of fact, all you have been trying to do is to be good to people. But yet, there is unfair attacks coming at you from left and right, and you just don't understand it. But not forsaken. Or in other words, he's saying, despite all these attacks that's coming at you, God has never abandoned you. He will not forsake us. He's saying, despite us being struck down, that's right, you will be knocked down, but not destroyed. Not destroyed. It seems like you at the end of your rope in your life, and some people might even contemplated the thoughts of just, I don't even want to live anymore. I hate my life. But God said, no, you will not be destroyed. The devil will not be able to take your life. You will not be destroyed despite all the situation that you're going through. Paul continues. He says that for we who live are constantly being delivered over to death for Jesus' sake. Now wait a minute, Paul. Listen. There is a purpose that's being here. We're being delivered over to death for Jesus' sake, so that the life of Jesus may be also manifested in our mortal flesh. In other words, we must die to self. See, we cannot experience the life that requires us to live until we accept death. You have to understand, Paul said, the life that I live now, I do not live, but Christ lives in me. In other words, Paul is referring to himself as a dead man walking. See, the life that I live is not my life no more. It's Jesus Christ's life. So that means Paul is telling us we got to die to ourselves so that the life that Jesus Christ is the only one who ever lived the Christian life successfully. So we must allow him to live that life through us. And the only way to be able to live that life is that we must die. He says constantly, though. Not just when we receive salvation, but we must die constantly, daily, so that the resurrection power of Jesus, see, the same power that raised Jesus up on the third day is the same power that lives in you and I. See, when we die, Jesus lives. When we lose, wait a minute. When we die, Jesus lives. When we lose, Jesus wins. When we are weak, Jesus is strong. When we are dependent on him, that's when he is all powerful in our lives. See, the beauty of being a flawed vessel is that we allow the power of God messages to leak out. When my weakness shows up, people realize that it's not me who's significant, but it is the surpassing greatness of God. He goes on. He says, but having the same spirit of faith, according to what is written, I believe, therefore I speak. Paul tells us that despite this rough road that we're going through, we must continue on. We must continue on. See, at this point, Paul turns to giving thanksgiving. You saying, wait a minute, you just going through struggles. What is he thanking God for? Just like James told us, count it a joy. So Paul is counting it a joy. He's starting to give thanks because he knows of the work that Jesus Christ is doing to him. He is killing his flesh so that Jesus can come through and that power of God can come through our lives. He says we have the same spirit of faith according to what is written. Here he quotes from the 116th Psalm. See, this psalm is a psalm of